For most of football history, the fullback was a forgotten position, a role nobody dreamed of playing, a place coaches used to hide the players who weren't technical enough or creative enough to play anywhere else. It was a simple job: stay wide, defend the winger, clear your lines, and overlap when you can. Fullbacks weren't stars. They weren't leaders. They weren't creators. They were the border guards of a football pitch. Important, but never central. But football never stays still. Every system that becomes predictable eventually gets broken. Every role that becomes too static eventually gets reinvented. And no position in the modern game has transformed more radically than the fullback. The early fullbacks lived in straight lines: up, down, repeat. The angles were simple, the expectations limited. Gary Neville once joked, "No one grows up wanting to be a fullback," and he was right, because back then, the fullback never shaped a match. He only reacted to it. But even in that era, a few outliers hinted at what was possible. Cafu, the Brazilian machine, who ran like he was fueled by fire. Roberto Carlos, who turned left back into a personal highlight reel. These players weren't following instructions. They were breaking them. Still, they were exceptions in a world that hadn't changed yet. Then came the first real evolution: the attacking fullback. Dani Alves arrived at Barcelona and instantly rewrote the job description. Suddenly, the right back was a playmaker, a creator, a conductor on the overlap. He didn't stay wide because he had to. He stayed wide because he could break teams from angles they weren't ready for. Marcelo turned the opposite flank into an art exhibition: dribbling, passing, improvising. A fullback with the soul of a street footballer. He didn't just support attacks. He started them, shaping Real Madrid's DNA for a decade. Philipp Lahm, quieter but just as revolutionary, became football's first strategic fullback. Smart, precise, technically flawless, a defender who thought like a midfielder. This was the moment the football world realized the fullback wasn't limited. It was unexplored. Then came the second evolution: the inverted fullback. Pep Guardiola saw the game differently. He didn't want fullbacks running outside. He wanted them stepping inside. So João Cancelo became the prototype, a fullback who dribbled like a winger, passed like a number 10, and dictated games from the half spaces. Zinchenko gave Arsenal control by forming an extra midfielder from the left flank, carving passing networks that made the entire system flow. Kyle Walker became the defensive counterpart, a fullback with elite recovery speed, used as a stabilizing anchor in transition. Suddenly, fullbacks weren't defenders. They were organizers, creators, and pressure valves. They didn't follow the system, they completed it. But now, football has entered a third evolution: the hybrid era. This is where the fullback becomes a shapeshifter, not a defender, not a midfielder, not a playmaker, but all three depending on the moment. Trent Alexander-Arnold treats the right half space like his personal command center. Long passes, switches, diagonals. He plays fullback with the imagination of a quarterback. Reece James is a power hybrid, strong enough to defend, technical enough to create, dangerous enough to dominate in any third of the pitch. And then there is Jurrien Timber. Timber is the future, a center back in structure, a midfielder in build-up, a fullback in transition. He doesn't just invert like Zinchenko. He moves through three roles in a single sequence. It's not improvisation, it's evolution. These players aren't assigned to lanes, they're assigned to functions. Modern football asks one question again and again: how do we create superiority? And fullbacks became the answer. They create extra midfielders. They create passing angles. They protect the first phase, escape pressure, and break pressing traps. They stretch the pitch when needed and compress it when commanded. Fullbacks became the hinge that allows systems to transform from 4-3-3 to 3-2-5 to 2-3-5 in seconds. No other position influences every phase of the game so directly. And now, a bigger question remains: what even is a fullback anymore? Is it a defender who attacks? A midfielder who starts wide? A playmaker hiding in a defensive role? A winger who tracks back? The truth is, football has outgrown these labels. The future fullback is positionless, a tactical tool, a multi-role specialist, a player who bends formations rather than follows them. This is why youth academies now train fullbacks as midfielders, creators, even interior 10s. They're teaching adaptability first, position second. From the most ignored position on the pitch to the most influential role in elite football, the fullback didn't just evolve, it reinvented the sport.